Good afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well today. Ethan came over and asked me what scripture reading I wanted, and I gave him a verse. I thought that the verse covered everything I wanted to say, but actually the verse that follows it, is Elijah's response where he says, Lord, here am I, send me. But thankfully, Bill covered that in his song, so everything worked out just fine. A few months ago, I guess might have even been back to summer a year ago, the elders met and we talked about an evangelistic campaign that we're involved in now in an effort to get people involved in evangelizing, because there's a lot of people out there in this world that are going to die lost unless God's people really step up. In our world that we live in today, and I think all of you would agree with this, we have a mentality like you see on TV when something happens and one person runs over to another. Did you see what happened? And they say, no, I don't want to get involved. I don't want to get into this. We have a society today that I think to a large degree is built on the idea that I don't want to get involved. I want to live my life alone and separate, happy in the life that I'm living without any complications or any responsibilities beyond that which is already and normally in my life. But I think we all, as Christians, have to realize that religion that we're not involved in is a religion that's meaningless to us. We have to be involved in it. We have to take seriously its precepts and its teachings, do everything that we can to live according to the teachings that God has given us, and to do the things that He tells us are needful. They're needful not just simply because of our own lives, but because of the lives of others. I think that Christians are the reason that this world is on the kind of track that it's on now. Although that track is not real good sometimes, it's still far better than it would be if God's people did not exist here in this great land that we call America and this great world that we live in. In Isaiah chapter 6 and verse 8, he answered the question that Ethan posed. And he said, Lord, here am I, send me. What about all the responsibilities that God has placed upon his people here upon this earth? How oftentimes do we say, as he did, Lord, here am I, send me? There's a need, there's a responsibility that has to be met, and I'm available. Send me, send me. Well, God doesn't reach out like he did then and tap us on the back, pat us on the shoulder, and say, hey, here's something that needs to be done. I want you to go do it. But his people oftentimes don't respond in the same way that Elijah did, or Isaiah. Here am I, Lord, sends me. We must place our trust in God and in his word, and with his help, we can succeed. I'd like to account with you a story in the book of Numbers chapter 13. I just realized when I came up here, these glasses don't work at this distance. Everything's kind of fuzzy. But I'm going to quote this story to you briefly tonight. The story of the 12 spies that God sent out to spy out the land. We've all heard it numerous times during the course of our lifetime. And how they went out and they spied out the land, and all the ones that went out and spied out the land, they came back, and you remember what they said? Oh, it's a wonderful land. It's a great land. It's fertile. It's got water. It's got fruit. It's got everything. It's a beautiful land. And just perfect land, perfect place. And then they said, there's one little problem. They got people there. They're huge. And there's no way that we can conquer this land. No way that we can conquer this land. But you remember the two spies that went in Joshua and Caleb. They came back out and they said the same thing everybody else did. It's a beautiful land. It's a land flowing with milk and honey. And I believe it was Caleb stood up. And Caleb, you remember what he said? You're Caleb. You're supposed to remember that. Surely, let's go take it right now. We can take it. And then he made the following statement. He said, if the Lord is on our side, we can accomplish anything. Do we say that very often? If the Lord is on my side, I can accomplish anything. I don't think we say that near enough. But he said plainly, let's go in and conquer this land. It's like everybody said, and we're strong enough. Why? Because if God is on our side, we can accomplish anything. And I think we as Christians today should firmly believe that. It's hard for us to stand up and to go out in public and make a proclamation of God's existence and Jesus Christ being His Son when we live in a world that's filled with people that don't believe it and certainly don't live like they believe it. And we have to exist among them. It's hard to get up and do that, to make that kind of proclamation. It requires that God's people be strong and that God's people firmly realize that God does not expect anything out of us, number one, that we're not able to accomplish. He does not expect us to be perfect, but He does expect us to be what? Involved. He does expect us to be involved. Answer to yourself, am I involved? Have I put forth honest effort in the service that God called me into? Or have I just simply somebody that's walked through life and said, I don't want to be involved. I don't want to be entangled in all this religious mumbo jumbo. I just want to go on and live my life. That would be great, I guess, if life was all there was. But the promises that God has made to people who don't love Him, who don't serve Him, would scare me to death. If I had to go home tonight and go to bed and know that I was going to have to face God unprepared, that would absolutely scare the rest of the hair off my head. Would take but a couple hours, but it would get it gone. And I think about people laying down, driving home, whatever the case might be, and knowing that there's going to be a large number of people in this world that will not see the sunset today. There will be people in the state of Arkansas probably that will not see the sunset tonight before they stand and face God in judgment. And that is a pretty scary thing. How often are we guilty of saying, I don't think that this is right? Another thing that Christians are confronted with. We look at things and we don't think they're appropriate for us or don't think that they're right, and therefore we just make the conclusion or draw the conclusion that we're not going to do it. Think about telling God, I just don't like the way you're handling this. I just don't like all the things that you want me to do. And so I'm just not going to do it. That would be a pretty scary thing to have to face God someday and record those words. We also have people who are simply satisfied with where they are. That's got to be a hard thing, isn't it? How many of you, including me, are we satisfied with where we are in life? Are we satisfied with the relationship that we have with God? Are we satisfied in the confidence that we have that God doesn't exist? Well, the possibility of us being wrong is just too horrible to consider, isn't it? If God does not exist and we live our lives according to the commandments that we have in His Word, what do we lose? Our society is better by the very fact that we have this book right here, even though nobody seems to agree on it. but our lives and our land is better simply for the fact that it is there. It gives authority to so much. My lesson is going to be short tonight because I'm serious. I can't read anything that I've got down here on this page. When I was sitting at the table and sitting there reading it, had it propped up like this, everything's great. I make the best excuses in the world, don't I? But that's simply the way it is. When you get older, you lose a lot of things. You lose your hair, you lose your hearing, uh, you lose everything. We're going to sing an invitation song in just a moment, but take these last few words with you as you go home and as you go through this coming week. Make a commitment to be a little bit more involved in things. You don't have to just jump in the water, like jump in the stream. You just run out there and jump off and hit it all at once. You don't have to. You stick your toe in a little bit and just kind of work your way in. Just make a commitment to live in this coming week just a little bit better, and then next week you can do things just a little bit better. We're going to sing an invitation song. Bill's going to lead us in. If there's any need that you have in this life, maybe you've been living in a way that you know is not acceptable in God's sight, you can come and make that right. Maybe you're not a Christian. Don't go home facing the possibility that you might not make it home and have to face God unprepared. If you're subject in any way, come and sing.